Hi everyone, I'm Frédéric Maupomé, owner chairman of the Ligue des auteurs professionnels, French Professional Author Leagues, which is a French union of writers and illustrators. As you all know, generative AI trains on the works of artists without consent or compensation, and that put artists in very bad spots. In fact, artists have to choose between two bad choices. The first one would be okay, I continue to put my work on the internet, but that means that your work will be trained on very fast, and that is very detrimental to the worth of your work. The other choice would be okay, I stop to put anything online altogether, but that's not really convenient or even feasible, because if you don't put any of your work on the internet, how would you try to promote your work? How would you meet new clients, new publishers, and how would you connect with your communities and your fans? So today I will present you a software that helps us to have another choice, and a better one, I hope, and that software is Glaze. So what is Glaze? Glaze is a software that would basically put kind of protection on your work so that AI software can't mimicry your style. Glaze creators are Shawn Shan, Professor Ben Zhao, and their team from the University of Chicago. So what does Glaze do? It basically puts some kind of noise on your work, noise that is not really visible for the human eye, but messes up the AI training. You will find more information on how Glaze works on the Glaze website and on the scientific paper that has been published by the team that put together Glaze. Anyway, how does this work? First of all, you gotta download and install Glaze. So there's here a download page. At the bottom of the download page, you will find 4 versions of Glaze. If you have a Mac, a Windows, if you have a GPU or not, a graphic card or not. So you will just download it and unzip it any way you want on your computer. If you're running a Windows PC, the first time you will try to launch Glaze, you might have a security warning because Windows will say, oh, so what's this software exactly? Is it safe? Just click yes, it's okay. Once Glaze is downloaded and unzipped, you will find a Glaze folder. In it there's like a lot of files and folders. Here, that's the icon of the application. You just double click it and you're in. So here you can see the Glaze interface, which is quite simple to use. Here you can select the work you want to glaze. For example, I will just select, I don't know, like that image. Then here you have the intensity knob, the render quality knob, and here you select the output for your image. So what does intensity do? Intensity is just the volume of noise that you are willing to accept on your image. So you have 3 settings: high, medium, and default. Default is fine, but if you are very worried or want another layer of protection, you can go up to high. Render quality is the time you allow to Glaze so that it can compute and find the best match between your art and the intensity you choose. Okay, I have quite a powerful graphic card, so I can go here on the slowest, and it will not take a lot of time. And once you have chosen your file, your intensity, your render quality, and your output, you're done. You can just click Run Glaze. It will analyze your image and start to work. One of the advantages of Glaze is that you can select not just one, but a lot of images. So, for example, I could just choose like all those works, and you see I've selected 6 images, and it will just glaze them one after the other. So how does it look? So here on the left you have the original art, which is just a page of one of our comic book, and on the right you have the first level of glaze. You can see some changes. I will zoom in so you can see later, and that's here first level of glaze. If you intensify more the glazing, then you will have more and more differences between your art and the glazed art. You will have to choose what's acceptable for you, knowing that the first level of glaze is fine. Going back to the first level of glaze, I've zoomed in of a small part of the original page, and you can see here, here and here some differences between the original and the glazed. To me that's perfectly fine, but then again you'll have to choose if that's acceptable for you or not. Of course the changes will depend on the style of your art. If it's a photograph, it will be vastly different from a comic book page. You'll have to try and test it by yourself. So Glaze is not the ultimate counter to AI. It has some pros and cons, and you'll have to decide for yourself if it's worth something to you or not. So first thing first, Glaze is a way to say no. It's a way to say no. The training on AI, the massive data set that is going on without our consent, without any sort of compensation, it's not okay. And it's one of the means for us to fight back. You can also just voice that you're not okay. You can adhere to some union. You can opt out any way you can, but it's another way to say no, and that means something. Second is Glaze is really easy to use. The interface is very simple. You can keep the intensity as the default, and you just can batch a lot of images all together and click run Glaze and you're done. Third thing is that Glaze is free. The team that put together that software doesn't want to make any money of it, and it's free now. It will be free together. And for pros, there are updates of Glaze, because AI is a very changing world, and maybe the AI software will adapt to Glaze, and so the team provides updates to continue to protect our work. But there are some cons too. First of all, your work will be changed. There will be some image alterations. It's adjustable. You can tell the software if you want just a little, or if you can go further. But if you can't stand any image alteration, then Glaze is not for you. Second con, it needs quite a bit of processing power. If you are fortunate like me to have a powerful graphic card, that's really not an issue. But if you don't have any sort of graphic card, it will take a long time to compute. To address this, the team behind Glaze put together Web Glaze. You will find some information on their website. It's free to use for artists too. Just give it a go if you don't have a powerful computer. Third con, using Glaze means it will require more work of you. I mean, you didn't have to use Glaze 3 years ago. Now you might have to, but you can streamline it and integrate it into your process. In my opinion, that's not really an issue, but that's something that has to be said. Another big con is that you might not be the only person that put your work online. For me, for example, I am mainly a comic book author, and so I will put some images on the net to promote my work, but my publisher will, and bloggers will, and journalists will, and bookshop will put images online. So if I'm the only one that protects my work, that will not have a very great effect. You can mitigate that if you convince maybe your publisher to glaze your work before it goes online. And well, most of the time your publisher will provide bloggers and journalists and so on the images that they can put online, and so all your work will be protected. Of course, in my case, the images that I will put online are only there to promote my work and so that people will buy our books. But if your work is supposed to be perfect online, like perhaps you did an image for an ad campaign, then well, Glaze will not have a lot of effect because the ad campaign is not paying you to have a noise on your image. So that will be a problem for you. Fifth con, I don't know how Glazes works for image to image specific image production with artificial intelligence. I will ask Ben Zhao, and when we'll hopefully have time for an interview, but that can be a concern for some of you. And lastly, we don't know how much time the glaze protection will lend. So there will be updates, but the AI will be updated, and that will be kind of a race between the Glaze team and the AI software. So anyway, do you need to use Glaze? Well, the answer will depend on your type of work, on the pros and cons that I've mentioned. Will I be using it? Absolutely yes. I find it very easy to use. I will try to convince my publishers to use it. As I said, it's one of the means to say no, and it's important, in my opinion, to just not rant between ourselves in conventions and maybe on some face group pages, but it's a way to say no to everyone. Anyway, that's the end of the video. I hope it will be of some use to you. I plan to do another video on Nightshade, and as I said, hopefully an interview with Professor Ben Zhao. See you soon, and don't forget to protect your work.